Everyday Tactical Vids out here in the field for a review. Today we're taking a look at this, which is the Swedish Light My Fire knife. This is going to run you between the $25 and $35 range, sometimes a little bit above, sometimes a little bit below that. You can get it in this green color. This is the color obviously I chose, but it also comes in orange, red, blue, and a blackish gray as well. So if you're familiar with Mora knives, they are very inexpensive but very nicely made Swedish knives. A lot of people like them for survival. And this knife has a cool feature because it's not just the knife, it also has a fire steel built in. I saw this out at SHOT Show 2013, so almost a year ago, and now I've got my hands on one to review it. So here's what it looks like up close. Your sheath. You can see Light My Fire there. You can see the fire steel inside that part of the handle. Flipping it over here, that's just where the UPC number was. And here is the loop that goes over your belt, and I will note that this is very strong. The retention on this is really good considering that it's just a loop with a little hook there on the bottom. Let's talk through some details on the blade really quick. First off, it is a half-tang blade, and that's true for most of these Mora style knives, and especially this one because the fire steel is obviously in the handle. It is made of Sandvik 12C27 stainless steel, and that for me is a big plus because I just dropped this in the snow, and with a little bit of maintenance, you're going to keep it rust-free. So that, to me, that's just a nice feature for these. If you look at this knife and you think, a survival knife that's so small, it looks like a kitchen knife, a lot of people believe in these knives because they are very, very well made. So I've had good experience with this knife so far, and other Mora knives, people I know who've used them, a lot of people really like Mora. So certainly don't dismiss it because it's a small knife. People are really believers in these knives because they just work really well. So the other thing I'll say, it does have a rubberized handle, so that's going to give you good positive control. And then the spine of the blade has a steep enough angle, obviously, so you can use it against the fire steel. Some knives don't have that steep of an angle, but this one certainly does. And the fire steel, when it comes to that, you're going to get about 3,000 strikes out of it, and it's going to put off a spark that is about, let me just double check the details here. They say 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's plenty hot. You get some good tinder, you're going to be able to get a fire going. So first thing I want to show you is retention in the sheath. You can see when I just shake it a little bit, certainly not coming out, and then that is staying nice and firmly in that sheath. I have a piece of dead wood here and just show you what that looks like to actually use this. So you can see, definitely cuts quite quickly and quite easily. And again, this is the factory edge. I haven't sharpened it up at all. One thing a lot of people wonder about a knife like this is, can you actually baton something? It certainly is not as big and strong a blade as like a BK2 or something like that, but you can baton with it. So let me just show you what it looks like to baton this piece of wood. So as you can see, I can split through that. Now, just because the blade is not super long, when it does get through, it's a little bit hard to baton it, but it went through that wood, no problem whatsoever. Again, some more batoning. And there you go, some more wood. So here's your knife. To remove the fire steel, you're going to twist just slightly and then pull back and the fire steel will come out. Got a little birch bark here, and we'll show you how this thing gets going. Some final thoughts as we wrap up here. First, the positives of this knife. I like the steel. I prefer stainless steel for a wilderness survival or an outdoor knife. Some people don't like it as much because they find it challenging to sharpen, but I would much more take a knife that's a little bit harder to sharpen as opposed to one that's going to corrode if it gets wet. So that's just my preference, but that's one reason why I like this knife. Second thing is the sheath. It's very simple, but it's very functional. There's a lot of control when it's actually on your belt. It's not falling all over the place or swinging all over the place. And secondly, the knife stays very securely in the sheath. Third is the fact that you get the included fire steel. I'm a big fan of any tool that has multiple uses and is not awkwardly sized because of those multiple uses. So, for example, I like this knife. I like the Schrade Extreme Survival Axe because it has the axe, obviously, and then the fire steel in the handle as well. So that is a nice feature as well. And then fourth is the price point for me. The fact that you're not spending, $100 for something like this, that's great. You're spending between $15 and $25 for this. That's quite a good deal for this knife and the quality of Mora knives in general. The one downside I would say is that it's not as big and beefy as something like a BK2, something like the Schrade SCH9, SCH10, a standard Condor, a Bushcraft knife, or the Spyderco Bushcraft UK knife. So that's the downside of this. It's not going to be able to be used as aggressively, but as you saw, I was batoning with it and it was working quite well. So I'll use this as always long term and report and let you know how it holds up. Thanks for watching the video. As always, we encourage you to subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Tumblr. Take care.